Hello and welcome to a Backpacker's Notes about China. Today I want to introduce you to some music that I really enjoyed when I stayed in China. I've often been to music festivals, the big music festivals in Beijing, like the Midi Festival or the Strawberry Festival, but I also went to a lot of little music bars where I also played with my band, and I got to witness a lot of great concerts of great Chinese musicians. And now I want to just tell you about some CDs and musicians that I really think are worth listening to. And I first want to start with one of my favorites. It's the best live band you've ever seen. It's so cool to watch them, and also the crazy fans, because everyone is just so into their music. And the band is called Miserable Faith or Tongyang. The band started off 1999 in Beijing, and they combine a lot of different music styles like rock, metal, punk, and also reggae music. And over the years, their following really grew a lot in China. People are crazy about that band. And one time I was in Xi'an, and there was a young woman. She saw that I got a t-shirt from that band, and she was so excited because it's her favorite band, so we had to take pictures. And it's just if you like the music, you see someone else liking that music, you also think, oh great, that person is just as crazy as me. And the first time I saw them was in a little bar in Beijing, and that was when they were not that famous yet, but over the years they became so big. So later I just saw them at big music festivals, and it's just really the best live band. The next musician I want to introduce to you is called Xie Tianxiao or XTX. And he was born 1972 in Jinan in Shandong province. In the early 1990s, he became a recognized figure in the Chinese rock scene. I think most people would say he's like the grunge star of China. He also has very poetic songs. I can recommend a song called Xiangyang Hua, so sunflower. And also, he doesn't only play a great electric guitar, he also plays a guzheng, which is a traditional Chinese instrument, and he plays it in his grunge music, which is a great combination. From the more serious music from Xie Tianxiao, we come to something that makes you smile a bit more, and that is the music of Beijing musician Hao Yun. Hao Yun does a fun blend of folk and rock music. In his band, there's not only the usual instruments like guitar and bass and drums and harmonica, he also has a sanxian in his band. That's a 3-stringed instrument from Beijing. It sounds a little bit like a banjo, and it makes a fun sound. And he usually sings songs about daily life experiences that everyone can relate to. On his first album, there was a song where he sang his telephone number to a girl. So I thought it's fun to try and call that telephone number and see if it's really his number, and it turned out it was really his telephone number. Only at that time there were so many people calling that number, because that album got really popular very quickly, that he just decided to play that song once you call that number. So that was also cool. You call there just to try, and that song also comes from the other end of the telephone line. The next person I want to introduce to you is Xiao He. He is the #1 experimental musician from China. He's so innovative and experimental that it's always, you just never know before what you're gonna get. The interesting part is you can even hear that on his recorded music, but even more during his live gigs. He even includes aspects of Chinese culture like poetry and folklore into his music. So it's especially great if you just want to see something new, something you've never seen before. And that also brings us to the next band I want to introduce to you. They're called Glamorous Pharmacy, or Mei Hao Yao Dian. Xiao He was also one of the founding members of that band. It's an experimental rock band that mixes rock, electronic and traditional Chinese music, and they have a very unique sound. And because I think they were the first to make this kind of music, they also have a very big name in the indie music community in Beijing. One music style that shouldn't be missing, even in China, is reggae music. Longshen Dao, or short LSD, is the first reggae band in China. And just like Xie Tianxiao, they also got a Chinese guzheng, the Chinese string instrument, in their music, which makes a really unique sound. I would say I don't listen a lot to music that also the women at the Chinese vegetable markets would sing along to, but the next musician is one of those. He's really popular, everyone knows him in China, and he's from Taiwan, and his name is Wu Bai 500. I've been to his concerts twice, once in a big stadium and once at a cool rock festival, and it was just an amazing experience because his music has a very typical mood that carries you. If you ever heard something about Chinese rock music, you definitely heard the next name, Cui Jian. He is often referred to as the father of Chinese rock. In the early 1980s, he brought with his rock music a very new style to the usually traditional Chinese music scene. And the Chinese youth, they had, with the song Nothing to My Name, Yi Wu Suo You, they had a new anthem for their whole generation. Also, for a rock singer, he has a very interesting instrument to play, and that's the trumpet. The next band is called Hei Bao, or Black Panther. They were formed in Beijing in 1987, and their first album Black Panther was released in 1991, and I met Chinese people who swear this is the best album ever released. And I do remember playing with my band Buyao in Beijing's Old Wat Bar a few times, and the guy who has this bar, he's such a big fan. Every evening in the end, he plays that CD. And he and at that time the girl also working there, they were singing along all those songs, and they just keep on saying that's the best music you ever heard. The music of the next musician is really close to me. I lived in a traditional Chinese hutong house for quite a while, and there are a lot of very cute little hutong bars where bands like my old band played a lot, and this musician also plays still until today in those bars, even though he's pretty well known. I'm talking about Liu Donghong from the band Shazi. I would describe it as blues, Chinese blues, and the voice of Liu Donghong is also very deep and very cool, and it's just such a great feeling to listen to that band. And yeah, look at that picture, that's me being the fanboy at one of the little concerts. I've never seen the next band, Wild Children, yeah, Heize, at a concert, but I got the CD from a good friend, and I would describe it as Chinese folk, but they do combine some folk blues punk with traditional Chinese music. Even though I've never seen them live, but their name is pretty well known in the Chinese independent music scene. And the last musician I want to introduce to you is a Chinese singer-songwriter called Wan Xiaoli. He is originally from Hebei province, but he moved to Beijing in 1997. And he has very quiet and very melodic songs. And why I really always have a good feeling listening to his music is because that was really my cycling music. Whenever I was cycling through Beijing, through the Hutong area where I lived, I listened to his music. I just felt like this is the perfect music for cycling through that area. So now, thank you for listening to my video, and I hope it was interesting enough for you, so you thought about maybe to listen to one or two of those musicians I introduced to you. And maybe you also find some other videos on my YouTube channel. And thank you very much for watching A Backpacker's Notes.